and things like that. I never could pin him down. But after the war, James come out and he went to work in let's see, I believe the police department, North Little Rock, Arkansas. He was a detective lieutenant. I saw his picture in the paper lots of times where he had made these big raids. He just fitted that job to a T. I could just imagine old James just having the time of his life. Because there wasn't nobody as big a crook as he was, and there he was catching. Well, I never could, I called out there, and I went over there, and I never could contact Vinny. And, well, he got fired. They finally, he done something. You know, eventually, he passed to take a catch up with you. He got fired, and but in the meantime, he done made some good connections. He opened up a liquor store. It was on Asher. Right where that Roosevelt road runs into Asher. Across the tracks there. There's a little a wooden building there on the left, with his liquor store. Well, he owned that. I never could catch him there. But he ran for sheriff. He run for sheriff of Placer County. And got a good showing. But he lost the election. Now I was breaking up there on the north end. We had an Arkansas conductor named Emmett Smith. He was a good fellow. He was riding along there one night and asked him where he's from. Said, well, around Little Rock Cabot, actually. I said, you ever know a guy named James? He says, Woodrow W.? Yeah, he knew. Well, I told him about James, and I told him about James marrying this girl from Cabot. And I'd forgotten her name, but you know how things sort of stick in your mind. I said, no, it seemed like she had a double name, and there's a lot of B's in it. He said, Dora Mae Donahue? Boy, that was a gal. He said, you mean James married her? I said, yeah. Well, I was damned. I don't know what was unusual there. I don't remember the conversation from then on. And here, a few years back, the phone rang, a fella told me that he's visiting here in town. He's from way off someplace. And he'd, in the Army, had an Army, a fellow named Charles Harris, and he thought I might be him. But I wouldn't. And I asked him where he's from. He said he's from Cabot, Arkansas. I said, well, I was in the Army with a fellow from Cabot, Arkansas, Woodrow W. James. He said, yeah, I knew Woody. He said, little fella. Said, he's dead. He passed on. Well, all the good ones die young. But you just have to live it, almost to believe it. And them guys, oh, I'm telling you, they were something else. Now there's another fellow, Frankie Probst. Now on my regular Army tapes, I give you a rundown on him, but I can't leave him out of this. He wasn't much bigger than me. If you know James Petrie, that was almost a twin for him. But he was more Jewish looking, and he was a little older than me. I was 22 at the time, and I guess Frankie, he was about 30 years old, but he didn't look it. A young-looking kid. Now he was a musician, a magician. He done card tricks and other kind of tricks and things like that. But he didn't play cards with any of the fellas around there. He was sort of a loner, a real sharp-looking fella. And I never did see him off base, but he'd come in all hours in the morning and pretty liquored up. And sometimes he'd have his clothes almost tore off of him. Looked like someone been chopping at him with a knife. And I didn't think about it then, but later on I figured that he might have been cheating at cards someplace, you know, and the guys caught him. Well, we left school. I didn't see him, Frankie, until we was on a boat going overseas. I was up on the front end of that boat one evening, and I saw a guy standing over there by that railing with his back to me, had his arm in the sling. And I just figured that's old Frankie. And went over there, and yeah, it was him. Well, you never could get any information out of old Frank. He didn't talk very much. In fact, I can't remember him saying anything. But someone done broke his arm, and I could, looking back now, I can figure about why. Well, it rocked on. War got over and went to work on the railroad and working in and out of Little Rock. I was standing up on the street corner one day in front of one of the big department stores there, Pfeiffer's or something like that, waiting on a bus. I looked around, and here come old Frankie walking out that door there with another fella, an older looking fella. And they were talking. Boy, he dressed fit to kill. A suit. And they were walking along looking at them window displays there. And he was standing there. This guy was talking to him. I said, "Say, Frankie." He looked around, looked at me, and said, "I can't talk right now, it's my boss. See you inside later." And he walked on around, you know, that was it, short and sweet. Walked on back in. After a while, I went in there and I looked him up. He had an office up there on the third floor of that building. He was the display manager for that Pfeiffer department store. He said, "Well, I hated to shut you off like I did out there, but that was my boss." And he wasn't in a very good humor. And I didn't want to rile him up anymore. And we talked there a long time. And never did see Frank anymore. Don't know what happened to him. Now there's another fellow I remember up there. Don't even remember his name. He was a quiet fellow. One of my classes, he sat next to me there when we first started that school. And he wasn't very talkative. I noticed one day that he had a pencil, and it said Line Oil Company, El Dorado, Arkansas. Well, I asked him about it, but I couldn't get no information out of it. Tight-lipped. Well, it turned up missing, and a while later, I saw him. He was a guard out there on the front door of that school. And evidently he done flunked out of school or got some punishment or something. I never did see him no more. But after the war, I went in Bell's Pharmacy over here by the post office one day. That fellow walked in there, all dressed up, some kind of a traveling salesman. "Hey there, how you doing?" "Okay." I said, "You remember me? Chanute Field, airplane mechanic school?" "Charlie Harris?" He said, "Yeah." Well, that's all I could get out of that fellow. And, well, about that time he got busy. I did too. And I never did see him no more. I often wondered who it was. Now, George Fruit Jar Ellis. He was another one. He was from El Dorado. Before the war, worked out here at the sawmill out there, the old Newell, Reynolds Gamble. Firing a boulder out there. George was a fine-looking soldier. He about 6 foot tall, round, red face, a fat man, but he wasn't fat. You know, everybody was lean back in them days, but you can tell a fat man, you know. And his belt was right a little bit higher, or something like that. But George, he loved to eat. He'd like, go off base, you know, and go to some restaurant he'd picked out, you know, and order him a big steak, all the trimming and everything. He'd talk about it, plan it. He drank a lot. I didn't run around with him off base. But he'd come in at night, someone would bring him in, and they'd just have to carry him to his bunk. And then the next morning, you had to just lift him out of bed, take him in there in the shower, put him on that cold shower, wake him up, and place up around his bed, and do all that for him, and then hold him up out there in the formation, roll call, and help him over at the chap mess hall. He'd probably get woke up about that time. If he wasn't too bad, he'd wake up in the morning, sit down on the side of his bunk. He'd start looking all around, He'd look down under his bunk. Somebody asked him what he's looking for. He's looking for that dog that crept in his mouth. George stayed with us. He got to be a crew chief tech sergeant. He come home a little bit before I did. And when I got home a little bit later and I got discharged, well, George was, he was out of service running around trying to make a living selling insurance, something like that. He got married Yvonne Britt. They had a little baby. Went over to see him one time. And but George, now I believe George went back into service. He might have went back in when they called up those inactive reserves. Him and Sleepy Harold both. And he retired from the Army as Master Sergeant. I think he was a line chief or instructor or something down there around Keesler Field, Bloxton, Mississippi. Him and his wife separated. He married a French woman down there. And George died when he was 50 years old, had a heart attack. And his wife brought him back up here and buried him. He was a fine, rememberable fellow, Brute George Ellis. Now, one of those fellows in there that I wasn't very well acquainted with was B.E. Tipps, T-I-P-P-S. I never did see him after I left tech school, but I noticed in August 1982 issue of the VFW magazine, under Air Force reunions, was the 61st Troop Care Group of Dallas, Texas. Brian E. Tipps, Route 1, Box 182, Grand Saline, Texas, 75140. I'm going to look him up one of these days. Now I'm going to tell you a little deal me and Brute George Ellis got into one time. We went over to Champaign, Urbana, running around, cutting up and drinking, And it was along about Labor Day, 1941. So all of a sudden we decided that we'd come home. To heck with everything else. Well, we just took off, got out there on the highway, and we hitchhiked to El Dorado. What stands out in my mind about the trip was that we got down to Thornton, Arkansas, and they was having Army maneuvers down here around El Dorado in the south. And boy, there was more military vehicles on that road than that you could imagine. And there me and Ellis was out there asking about leaving over the hill. But I remember there's a little old service station there just across the cotton belt tracks there on the left. And we stopped in there. And there's a young couple, a man and a woman. We stopped there in an old two-seated car. We got to talking to them. They was going to El Dorado. And they told us, sort of risky business. Us roaming around out there, we done told them. Old Georgie, big mixer, they said, come on, get in the back seat of our car. Take your shirts off. And get your caps outside. So we went on down the road. And when we got down to the Cadian River Bridge, well, the other army had bombed that bridge. Make believe, And they couldn't no military traffic go over that bridge. And they had built some pontoon bridge across that river there. Just before you get to the bridge, that little road turns down to the right. Well, you go down there, that military traffic, and you go across that pontoon bridge. The last time I was down there in the old bar pits, some of them still laying out there. And, well, they stopped their car there and looked inside. But we went on across the bridge. They got down here, the elevator boys working live with soldiers. And, I went up there to see Mr. Hole. And I told him, I need a day's work. Well, he put the hand soap down there. And I worked there a couple of days. And then me and Ellis went back. We get dragged back. And the main thing about going back is, we're leaving Little Rock. We got a ride in a truck. But today it'd be an 18-wheeler, one big van, you know. I remember we were going down a long hill, long straight hill, daytime. We got about halfway down it, and there was a cow started across the road down in front of us. And boy, I thought, this is it. But that truck driver, he didn't try to brake or nothing. And went right on, and that cow just moved right on. He just barely missed her tail. And he told us that they'll do it every time. That when a cow starts across the road, they don't never stop. Or look back, they just go right on across. I tell you, I wouldn't have that much faith or whatever you might call it. But anyhow, we got on up there to St. Louis and went over to East St. Louis. And we spent the night there in a hotel. And boy, we had a big time. I remember we woke up the next morning, we was laying down on the floor on the rug. That bed was too soft for us. Well, we went on back up there, and naturally they'd missed us. We couldn't talk our way out of it. And we'd been gone 7 days. And that's the only thing went on the circuit record. The 7 days lost under Article of War 104, I think. And we had to do a little work around the squadron there, cutting grass, stuff like that. But didn't amount to much over there. But we got over at school now. We done lost that week of school, and we had to take that class over. And George said, tell you what, said, I don't want to be no airplane mechanic. Said, I want to be a truck driver. Said, they've already signed us that squadron out there in California. And I want to go on out there and get out of the school, going out there and get started driving a truck or something like that. And he was real serious about it, you know. And he thought all he had to do was just tell them, and that was it. And in fact, we had to report to the superintendent's office for that school. I think assistant superintendent. He's a colonel. Well, I remember we went into his waiting room there, and they called me in first. I remember that guy sitting there behind the desk. He was a nice fella, and he talked to me, asked me what trouble was, you know, and just like a regular, school principal. That's what he was, teacher, I guess. Well, he couldn't get nothing out of me, I mumble around, yes or no, sir. He said, well, I tell you what I think. Said, you just got under the influence of Private Ellis, more or less. Aren't you? I said, no, sir. He said, I think you are. I said, he just put some ideas in your head about getting out of school, going out there in California and living it up, things like this and like that. Isn't that right? I said, no, sir. He said, oh, now, Harris, said, you know better than that. I said, I'll tell you what, said, I got faith in you, and Ellis too. And I said, tell you what, said, I ain't gonna let you flunk out of school. Said, you can finish the school, even if you have to stay here on the board, because he said, I think you make a good mechanic. Said, I'm gonna make one out of Ellis too. Well, he dismissed me. And I knew I was gonna have, just like he said. I remember I walked back out there, and they called George in there, and he told me, said, now, wait just a minute, said, wait for me outside, I won't be just a minute. And I just laughed myself, yeah, I know you ain't going to be too long, but I know what you're going to run into in there, too. But it wasn't just a minute. Old George come back out there, boy. He had that chest throwed back. He was the highest stepping. And he said, come on now. Come on, Charlie. Let's go get them school books. And, well, now when we went back to school, they split me and Ellis up. But they put us both in class 16. Well, I went in class 16 there. And I remember this instructor, he was a civilian. Nice looking young fellow, maybe 25. He was a teacher. Quiet sort of fellow. And I went in that classroom, it was propellers. It was just a classroom deal with them props on them stands all around the room there. And the rest of the guys were just over in one corner, they're playing cards. And over in another corner, they're shooting craps. One guy's making little paper airplanes and throwing them over the nuts, he's throwing them back. Shooting spitballs. And they wouldn't pay no attention in the world to that instructor. Just like he wasn't there. And I got right up on the front seat and sat down there. And his instructor, he started instructing. And I felt real sorry for him. You could tell that he wasn't going to let that bother him. But still, you could tell it sort of hurt his pride. And he started telling about that propeller. And I sat there and took it all in. After a while, he found out that I was listening to him. And he sort of brightened up a little bit, and he started talking right directly to me, just like it's just me and him in there. And boy, we went through that 2 weeks there. It was just a pleasure. And them other guys just a playing all that time. Well, I got the last day there. We had final test. It was a multiple choice, you know. And that was in my favor. Well, I got through the test. He got up and he left the room and come back after a while. And he said, Harris said, you made 100 on this test. That you didn't miss a question. And he says, your proficiency has been 100%. He said, we're not allowed to give anybody over a 98 in proficiency. He said, that's all I can give you. And I said, you make 198 out of 200. They said, in my opinion, you made 205. And he said, principal wants to see you down there in the office. And he said, more than likely you won't be back. And take your stuff with you. And said, I want to just tell you how proud I am of your attention and patience with me and everything. And I said, sort of give me a sort of new lease on life. I was beginning to think that I couldn't be a teacher. I might not be able to be a teacher. It wasn't my calling. The way I couldn't get into these other fellas, when you come in here, said, I see that I can make it all right. Said, I want to thank you. Okay. Made me feel good, him too. But I went on over there to the principal's office. I think he was a captain. And just a coincidence, his name was Harris too. Boy, he was real friendly, polite and everything, you know. We talked a little while about the Harris name and how well that he appreciated me making that good grade. And he told me, said, now, that Harris said, you can go into any class that you want to now from here. You can go back to old number 8, or you can go into number 1, or any of them. But he said, now, just give you a little bit of advice. And said, this is a perfect opportunity for you to learn something about life in the Army. Something give you a chance to do it. But said, now, I would suggest that you go into class number 2 in the morning. And then, right after lunch, instead of going back to the class, that you come over to see me. After you have lunch, come back to see me. I want to talk to you. Okay. Well, I went over there next morning, went to class number 2. Now, by the time that the morning was over, I was just like a rat looking for a hole. Well, I was in the wrong place. Them guys, they knew more than the instructor did. They were all fine young men and gentlemen. But I don't know why I was in there. But they knew all that stuff. Or if they didn't, boy, it just clicked to them right like that. And the instructor get up there and say, now, line 2 or 3, anybody don't know that. Well, they all knew it, except me, you know. I'd hold my hand up. Well, he'd explain it very carefully, you know. Well, at first it was sort of amusing to the rest of the fellas, you know. And then it got sort of boring, and a few of them, you know, started twitching, and so just holding up the class. I was holding it up. And I forget what subject it was, but I wasn't understanding much of anything he told me anyhow. And it finally got where that he'd ask for questions. I just grinned and sat there. And well, I was in the wrong place. And I got to thinking then, well, Captain Harris told me to come back over there after lunch. And it's a good thing he did, but I was going back in here. And well, I went back over there after lunch. I went in his office. He thought it was Billy Lane. He said, Harris, it ain't like you think. Now, don't get discouraged. He said, don't let it bother you. He said, I just wanted to show you what makes the world go round. He said, now, them guys you're sitting in there with, 3/4 of them are college graduates. And there's some 2 guys in there that was airline pilots. And they just the cream of the crop. He said, I couldn't pass that class there myself, but I just wanted to show you that what life's all about if you just take it for what it's worth. There's a golden opportunity I couldn't pass up. But I knew that you'd take it right. And he told me a lot more things, you know, it's beneficial to me. And we got to be good friends, you know, right there. And he told me, he said, now, I believe that you're going back to Platinum 8 before you started, that you won't have no more trouble. And before you know it, you'll be out here and on your way. Well, just like he said you got to look around and find your notch and stay in it. Now I run into another buddy of mine, O.D. Bates, a friend of mine from home. I remember when I was fixing to join the Army. I guess a week or so before I went in. O.D. was working out here at the Kirkbad's old place out here on the Canyon Highway, right there at the intersection of 19th Street where that convenience store is. Fella, Les Powell, sort of a gambler around, had a place out there, and O.D. was working for him. I went by there and told O.D. you got to join the Army. Want him to go in with me. No, said, got too many things wrong with me. Said, I ain't going to have to go. They won't take me. Okay, well, I got up there at Camp Robinson. Well, it wasn't long before I run into O.D. Bates. And he done got drafted. And they swore him in as a draftee. And then they give you a chance, you know, to transfer out into some other part of the service. I think he drafted him in the infantry. And he switched over to the Air Corps. And come payday, you know, it made him have previous service. So instead of him getting $21 a month for them first 4 months, like I did, he got 30 right off the bat. That was O.D. Well, I didn't see O.D. around Jefferson Barracks up there for some reason or another. But I run into him over there at Chanute Field. He wasn't in my area around there. But we got together every now and then, went into Chicago, South Chicago, and around them little towns, Champaign, Urbana, Kankakee, and some more of them. Well, we done a lot of running around there. Now, O.D., he left school and went down to Keesler Field, Lockton, Mississippi. And I think he spent the war down there, never did go overseas. But O.D.'s still around. I think he's out there in Dallas or Houston somewhere, still going strong. Well, I was in Chanute Field there when war broke out, December the 7th, 1941. I remember was in a barracks there that day, and they were going to give everybody a week's furlough for Christmas and New Year's. Half of them go on Christmas and half of them New Year's. And I was making out the application form there. I was going home Christmas. Sitting there on the side of my bunk. Some guy come in and hollered out, they bummed Pearl Harbor and the Jefferson, started war with us and all that kind of crap, you know. I never heard of Pearl Harbor. But anyhow, the war done started. I remember the guy sitting there on the bunk facing me, writing out his application. And he sat there for a little while and looked at me, and he just wadded it up, throwed it down. Well, it didn't mean too much to us up there. We had to get rid of all our civilian clothes. We couldn't wear civvies anymore, which I hadn't been doing anyhow. And a few more little things. I think still, I don't think you had to have a pass to get out the front gate, except, you know, we had a permit pass identification card. That's about all it took. Some places, you know, you had to go to the boiler room and get a pass to get out. But I don't think that happened right there at Chanute Field at that time. I remember when President Roosevelt was addressing Congress, asking them to declare war. I was going in a mess hall at that time, and up over the door there they had a loudspeaker with a radio, and I just remember hearing that as I went in the chow that day. Now, there was one fellow there in the barracks that I remember. His name was Henson. He comes somewhere over there in North Arkansas. He's about tall as I was, but he's fat, sort of roly-poly. And he was sort of a crybaby. He was just awaiting. What he said was to get a discharge. Said, he kept telling you all the things wrong with him, and he didn't know why he was in there anyhow. And said every day at the mail call, you know, he was looking for a letter. Ran into the bulletin board see if they had his name up there, you know, up for a discharge. And he was still there when I left. But old Henson, he couldn't sleep with his feet under the covers. He had to have his feet sticking out. And you know how that is. In an army barracks like that, you know, everybody's got to sleep in a certain position. One guy have his head down at the next guy's feet, you know, and you can't just swap around and turn your head. And it so happened that Henson's feet was always sticking out to the aisle. Every time somebody come by, you know, he'd cover his feet up, and oh boy, he'd cry. And then there's that short sheeting business. And there's some way or another that he could tear the covers down and fold the sheet right in the middle. And you couldn't tell it until you got in it, you know, and stuck your feet down in there. And there you were, your feet wasn't going down no further. Well, old Henson, he was short sheeted every time he got in bed. He never did see anybody doing it. Didn't know who was doing it. There you was. Now, I remember that issue them PX checks. I think along about the middle of the month, you know, you go to the order room and you get a little book of coupons that you could spend down there in the PX and they'll charge, you know, against you, nickel or dime. And they're all the same. And generally there's always somebody coming through the barracks, you know, going to the PX. Anybody want anything? Soda pop or a candy bar. Now, you know, but well, down home, just the candy bar, very, very seldom heard the word, you know, you want a Snicker or a Milky Way or a Mars bar or something like that, you know. But up there, they were just candy bars. So you go, someone going to the Pepsi, They get your candy bar. You never did know what it was, so got back. Well, MPX checks, that's a pretty good deal. Now, you had these loudspeakers around on these telephone poles, and in the morning, they play a bugle over them, reveille, you know. And then you had to retreat, I think maybe about 5 o'clock in the evening, something like that, and shoot that cannon. And everybody wasn't doing something. They fall out in formation. I go to the parade ground, and when I lowered the flag, you know, they didn't keep them flags flying at night. I don't know how exactly how they worked it. I think it had one flying, maybe a battle flag or something over headquarters building. But all them flags around them flagpole, they bring them in at night. They showed a lot of respect for the flag, and I always have too. I see this fellow across the street from me. He's got him a flagpole out there on his front porch, you know, just 45 degrees. It's raining right now, and that flag's sticking out over 8 o'clock at night. I don't think that's right. People bringing flags in at night. And then they have taps. Lights out at 9 o'clock. Play that taps. And finally, it sort of soaked into everybody that you sort of supposed to be quiet after the lights went out. There's a lot of mumbling around. But I remember there's a fellow in our barracks there named Gaggins, Johnny Gaggins. He was a Golden Gloves, a welterweight prize fighter. I think he had been a sort of a contender or something in Golden Gloves. Boy, he was very military. And if there's any hollering, shouting going on after the lights out, you know, he'd tell them about it, quiet the thing down. And if Gaggins happened to be gone, anybody started cutting up down there, old James, he'd come to head them stairs, holler down there now. It is down there. I don't have to come down these steps. Everybody quiet down. That's where, you know, it didn't, the noise didn't bother me. I'd sleep most of the time, daytime and night, time I laid down. And I kept my bunk fixed up real good. You know, they like to have your blanket across the top of it real tight, real straight and tight and smooth. You know, they come along there and flip a quarter up there, you know, and see if it bounces. If a man had a good tight bunk, they'd put a note on the bulletin board there. It's the best bunks. And the worst ones. It didn't mean anything, it was just a little something to do. If you had a good bunk, you'd feel good about it, you know. Had a bad one, you might try to do a little bit better. I got my name up there a lot of times, man. I kept a good tight bunk. The old boy in the barrack there named Kylette. He was a big old tall, slim, round-shouldered, wide-hipped boy. Sort of hatchet face, sort of wild-eyed. Most everybody go around sort of shaking their head, you know, about him, but it's sort of cute. If he wasn't doing nothing, he'd be shining his shoes. Boy, I'm telling you. Them shoes would sparkle. And he wasn't no troublemaker. He didn't start anything, but if you ride him too much, he'd get you told in sort of a way that you didn't quite understand what he's talking about, but you stop and think about it, if you know what I mean. Kylette, he's another one of them. There's a fellow there from Little Rock named McCracken. We call him Sody Cracker. He's 3-4 years older than me. And it seemed like just another one of them guys that is so damn happy to get out from under all the responsibilities of civilian life, you know, just wild happy about everything. Oh, he was a mess. A wisecracker boy. I remember when we was going to have this group picture made. Well, we all got out there and fall out in formation. March over the parade ground, had it made. And old Sody Cracker was running late for some reason or another. I remember was getting in formation there, and he come to the door, just buck naked, and he had his razor brush. He had foam on it, you know, and shaving brush, and he had foam all over his whiskers, you know, and he was lathering it up, and he'd wait on me, you know, and he'd raise one arm, and he'd lather on this, you know, and he'd raise the other arm and lather on this, and then he'd lather down between his legs, before he'd lather over, come back up, you know, on his chin and neck, and he run back in there. Well, I see the picture. He got in the picture. That's so crazy.
Well, we graduated from airplane mechanic school long about January 1942. They shipped us out to Marshfield, California. Squadron was forming out there. Didn't have an airplane. Then they shipped us back cross country east, Westoverfield, Massachusetts. Gave us some airplanes. And for just a week or so, they took off. And we met up with them about 3 months later over in England. They'd flown across there. We went on over to Fort Dix, got on a boat, went to England, made the invasion of North Africa, Sicily, Italy, went to the country of India, flew over into Burma, come back, moved over to Italy, made the invasion of southern France, and then they shipped me home. I got in my hours and my time and everything, and shipped me back home. And they discharged me July 4th, 1945. Well, I learned a lot in the Army. I learned how to respect authority and what to do with it if you had it. You know, you ask a non-com in the Army about something, he'd tell you. Now, I got out. I worked on the Rock Island Railroad 35 years. And I started out braking, and I worked as a regular conductor 22 years, about 4 more years as an emergency conductor. And I first went to work, the young brakeman. There's about 3/4 of them old conductors down there. You'd ask them something about the job, and they'd say, well, use your own judgment, do it however you want to. Well, that wasn't the answer that I wanted. If I'd known how to do it, I wouldn't have asked them in the first place. I'd line my brakeman up about the work, I'd tell them what to do, and then get out of the way and let them do it. I'd be somewhere there in the background, just far enough away that they couldn't run over to you every 5 minutes with some little old question, and let them do some thinking for themselves. I got along pretty good. Enjoyed my job. Didn't nobody ever mess with me. I wasn't well liked by all, because on the railroad there's got to be somebody that gets out there and see that work is done in the rain or snow at night time. I didn't do any of the brakeman's work because that's what they was getting paid to do. I was getting paid to be a conductor. That's what the company wanted me to do, and that's what I've done. Now, you might notice that my voice has changed a little bit here in the last few minutes, and I'll tell you why. I got me a new machine, VFC recorder, variable speech control. And I made this recording on an hour's tape and played it back in 45 minutes. And it speeds it up, and I found out that you can learn a lot quicker like that, and it's a lot more enjoyable. You don't have time to ponder over what's said. You listen, and you get it the first time. It takes all the monotony and the boredom out of it. And you ought to get you one. I think I've got sort of a soothing voice anyhow, because down through the years working on a railroad, going out on the job, trains start moving, and I climb up there in the cupola, me and the rear brakeman, and as soon as I started talking, well, he'd go to sleep. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, lots of times I figured that might be a couple of low joints that wake you up right quick.